Good morning, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, and loving life. Got something I wanted to discuss here. For those of you that have known me for a while and have seen my path, it's been a hard one. And people ask, well, why do you choose such a tough road? And I want you to know I only see one road. And that's the way of my Creator, the divine source. It says, follow, so long as you follow me, ye shall be blameless. And that's the way I wish to follow. And so I want to go over something I wrote, and it should be the post just below this video on my Facebook page here. And it starts out with my new name, El Hotep Seconwe Pharaoh. So despite what the profile page says now, and I've posted it, and once I get it actually hand printed and witnessed, it will be a valid document, and it is by my will. I don't wish anybody to call me Keith or Keith Orland or Keith Orland Little. It is my will. I wish you people to call me El. And then if you need clarification on the Hotep Seconwe Pharaoh, I can do that. Right now I'm working on Facebook accepting that, but like I said, I've got to do the handwritten document and present that to them to show that it's valid, even according to their own policies. So anyway, it says, El Hotep Seconwe Pharaoh, sovereign, bond, servant, servant, king, infinite son. And it's a very simple statement. Though it might look complex, it's saying the same thing over and over. El Hotep Seconwe is the servant bond, or the sovereign bond servant, who is a servant king, an infinite son. And then it says Hotep Seconwe in all caps, and this is just my little chapter, if you will, with 3 little verses according to my scripture that I follow. And I don't wish for it to be published in any Bible in the future. It's just something I like to convey to people. In its simplicity, the Bible tells me He is my guide. He is my protector. So I shall not waver. In its basic simplicity, that's what that whole book tells me. Now, along with that, in that book, it tells me many other things. And if you look at the caption, you'll see Constitution, Articles of Commandments, not Confederation or Incorporation, Articles of Commandments. It's got Declaration of Independence, Articles of Commandments, Constitution, and a peace treaty. This is where our government gets this stuff. They've just perverted the words. Romans 11:26 through 27. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out a Sion, the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. This is a I'm saved. There shall come out of Sion, Babylon, a deliverer, a son, sharing a message. And he shall turn away ungodliness. That message shall be truth. And for this, following my way, he shall be saved from that ungodliness. Then it goes on, it says, I am El-Hotep secondly peril, sovereign bondservant as steward of Ruach HaKodesh, the divine source, what we know today as God, to live as he lives. And we see this in John 14, verse 19. Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more. But ye see me, because I live, ye shall live also. What that's saying is that as time goes by, people no longer see that divine source. People get caught up in the cognitive dissonance and the commercialism, and they forget where they and they start living in that commercial system as if they are that commercial system, and that commercial system is them, and that's where they get their source. And that's inherently wrong. So getting back to the truth of things and sharing the truthful message is how you live, because that's how he gave you life, is in truth. And we'll talk about this here real quickly in a short minute. Freely given. This is a very important part of how I constructed this, because this is actually, in fact, constructed as my PMA, my Declaration of Independence, with an Article of Commandments, a Constitution, what constitutes myself in that independence. And then I'm supposed to treat others with peace as my treaty of peace. So listen to this part very closely. Freely giving what was freely given, in prosperity and abundance. We see things in this commercial world that say, if you provide a bond, then you're bound to it. And in this perversion of the words, we've forgotten the root word by adding that O to come up with bound. And then we took out the U to come up with the word bond, when the origin is bund, B-U-N-D. That is a bund. And it's something that already occurred, abundance. So when you freely give what is freely given in abundance, that is his way. While seeking and sharing naked truth in all that exists. For it is this I trust. What is the naked truth? The naked truth is the reality of what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you feel, touch. What you smell. That's the reality. And that is what you are. And this is why I talk about when they put a name on you. You are not the name, and the name isn't you. You are not a noun, you are a verb. You are a what, not a who. What are you? Your reality. Your reality long before any description of a verb or a noun. And therefore, they're in that grammatical construction of these languages. You are what they call a concrete noun on paper. In reality, you are a verb. And when they put down defendant or captain or Protestant or Democrat or whatever, aside from a name, then that is an abstract noun, which is total fiction. Whereas the pronoun is a concrete noun, and that's the name, Keith. The Keith Orland Little is a legal name, ens legis, and that is for commercial purposes only. And that is a distractive noun. So, for it is in this I trust. And when you see this document, you'll see it notates Genesis 1, verse 25 through Genesis 2, 25. This is the pure trust. And I did some videos a while back trying to explain to people, or trying to convey to people, my concept of the pure trust, which is the ecclesiastical trust, the common law trust, and the commercial trust. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. But that is your pure trust. Genesis 1, 25 through Genesis 2, 25. If you share his message and follow his way. If not, then you are bonded to somebody else's trust. The written trust. This pure trust you hold within yourself by maintaining your own bond, your own covenant to the commandments that say that you are, in fact, independent. Because that's what constitutes you to be able to speak and treat your fellow man in peace. For I am a citizen of his kingdom in heaven. And you'll see that's in Philippians 3, verse 20. For our conversation is in heaven, from whence also we took for the Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. See, today we think about a citizen as a national. What are we citizen of? Well, I'm a national. A national is just an association. You can be a religious national. You can be a political national. You can be a sovereign national. You can be a state national. You can be a country national. You can be a foreign national. You can be an immigrant national. But what are you truly a citizen of? On a mission to minister his word throughout earth. I care to share his word while exposing the twisted serpentine words of both or all languages written down, definitioned, written down from the spoken word, misinterpreted, misconveyed. Definitions. A definition is just another man's concept of what that word is. Defines him, not you. You need to define yourself. Hosea 4, verse 6. And this is very important in regards to everything that is happening in society today, because it is what is tearing our children away from us. So listen very closely to this. It doesn't pertain to just the child protective services, child support, things like that. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. If you don't live in his way, with his truth, and know his truth, then you have rejected it. That's what destroys you. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. See, a priest is a minister, and what they're supposed to minister is his word. And if you're not going to minister his word, he's going to reject you. He's going to let you live in that commercial realm. He's going to let you take benefit of the welfare that as soon as you sign, it's farewell. That thou shalt be no priest to me. That the law of thy God. You've forgotten what commands you and are listening to the commercial demands of their financial instruments, their debt instruments, saying that you are in debt when he has already said you are not. You are blameless so long as you follow his way. Who would put you in debt? And what words do they use? Demands? I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. What that's saying here, people, you're forgetting your own children. And this is the basis of we pay for our father's sins. I hope you people comprehend this writing. It comes from my heart, which comes from his words. You'll notice I hardly use any of their words, terms, conditions of contracts that bind me. Because I am not binded, I am not bounded, I am not bonded. I already have a bund of prosperity that was freely given so that I may freely give, so long as it's in his way. And therefore, I'm blameless. John 1:10. He was in the world, and the world was made by him. And the world knew him not. I am in this world that was made by man, and yet it doesn't recognize me. This is your court system. This is the legal system of the written word. If you're going to sit there in those words that you create, they will not hear you. Present them all the documents you want. They won't hear you. Matthew 13. That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. This is the fallacy of the secret societies, whether they be Masons with good intent The Illuminati is trying to destroy us. I don't care. That's not my association. My association isn't in secrecy. My association is in the Word, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So while they may, some profess to do good in service of the community, that's fine. They can follow their words. My words come from Him. John 6, verse 33. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life unto the world. The spoken word, the vibrations of life, the energies that move about us is what gives us life, if we only accept it, instead of living in the world that we create that won't listen to us, as it says in John 1, verse 10. Mark 8, verse 36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? If you live in the greed of the commercial society, and you're not passing His word, and you're not being the minister of His word, He's going to deny you and your children. And then your children, like I said, are going to pay for your sins. And they're going to grow up in that same commercialism, doing the same thing. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. See, this is the term that we think of today as eternal life. See, when we pass on in the bodily form and people quit talking about us. I spoke about this in the video with Robert Slavin we did last night. When you pass on, it's your soul that passes on, and it's spoken of because you followed the way of the Lord, and you proved yourself in the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But when you die, it's a commercial thing. And we see this evidenced on the tombstone that sits on a flat ledger. And the name is in all capital letters, saying that the person died, and that's who they recognize. And so when you die, they still don't hear you. They still don't hear you. Even your children don't hear you. And so their tombstone too shall read all capital letters and sit on top of a ledger, because they're citizens of a nationality instead of a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 25, verse 34. Then shall the King say unto them on His right hand, Come ye, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you prepared from you from the foundation of the world. Of the world, not in the world. See, when you're of the world, that's when you're heard, because you know how to speak, and you speak His word so that others can hear it laws. Remember, I told you about the private membership association. This is constructed as my private membership association, and in it, it has my Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Commandments, the Constitution, and the Peace Treaty. And so, when it comes to laws, this is the Articles of Commandments. To love and honor the divine source of life with all my heart, body, and mind. And that I'm going to have to correct that. Heart is the body. And it should say heart, soul, and mind. To love and honor my brothers, fellow citizens, as myself. To do unto others as I would have them do unto myself. To do no harm. That's it. Law, commandments. Those are my commandments. And this whole document, when I get done here, this is what constitutes me. And you will see that I wish to treat you in peace. Of peace. For peace. With peace. Isaiah 1, verse 17. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Hosea 4, verse 6, my people shall perish for lack of knowledge. So learn to do well by seeking that knowledge. Relieve the oppressed that have given up that word by teaching them and sharing that message so that they can come forth as fathers in multitude of their seed, in union with mothers that will then bring forth the nations of the citizens. Galatians 5, verse 9. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. And so when you're going to speak this word in either form, know what you're speaking. Because it doesn't matter what the loaf is. If you're speaking evil, the leaven will leaven it, the whole. So if you're going to teach your family to go to these public education indoctrination concentration camps, to learn those words, those are the words you're going to grow. And your children will pay for your sins for not getting back to the word of truth. And I talked about this. People talk about the homeschooling. And a large part of the problem with homeschooling is that today's concept of homeschooling is you still got to register your children for a state curriculum that you follow for that homeschooling. If you're going to homeschool, let them go to the public education system, but teach them the word of truth at home to be able to discern the differences so that while they're seeking the truth, they can see what isn't true. And this is explicitly why I check out all information, good or bad. If you want to talk bad about this person or that person and say their information is no good, I'm going to check it out for myself so I can discern for myself, so I don't have to believe you. I don't want you to believe the government. I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to believe your fellow man. I want you to seek the truth in all loaves of bread, so that when they do come to rise, you can tell if it's a moldy piece of rotten food or if it's something that's full of nutrients that will grow. Romans 1:18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. And again, I mention the secret societies. It's people that join these secret societies, and I'm not saying all secret societies are bad, because all people in the secret societies are not bad. There are many people in these secret societies that go forth with their goodwill and intent, trying to pass that message. But there are those that are in those groups that use that secrecy for their own ill intents, for their own ill outcomes. And therefore they sit on these benches and profess to have licenses and be heads of these churches. 501c3 exemption. I'm not exempt. I don't claim exempt. Why would I make such a false claim to being exempt to an authority that says I have to claim under that authority I'm exempt, when I'm already free of levy to begin with? I have created the following members of myself specifically for that purpose, so that in their realm my persons will be heard. Characters clothed white, clothed with that paper. That's the whiteness before anything is written down. And then when they're clothed in white, they are now in that world, that which I created. And the words that I put down will be heard in that world, because I am of the world that created it. The first person, I'll be damned if his name isn't Wordsmith. And he is separate for barter only. And he can be seen with facial recognition. There's no sheet, but what is yet to be discerned. I am the bishop, I am the minister, ministering the word. And there is no sheet. There is no paper yet. But if things need to be discerned, so that the commercial realm can understand Wordsmith, then he'll be glad to write them down. He'll be glad to define them without any twists and serpent curves. And that's my private capacity. No transgressions. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to treat you in peace, in good faith, in fair dealings. The next one, I'll be damned if he isn't titled C. Word Smith. And if you look at it, it's Seaward, Seaward, SEA-Ward. He is a ward of the sea. In this admiralty jurisdiction that floats around on ships that are shipments going in and out of ports in the world of a fictional construct of paper. Remember little Johnny Paper? the magic dragon lived by the sea. Well, he lived by the sea. Did he live in the sea? Or was he on the land? Was he of the world? And it has a coat of arms. My arms right here that extend to the pen and levy that sword. The pen is mightier than the sword. And it will purvey that it puts down the pure white of truth. Because the sheet is blank and prevents war by no obliteration of that peace. I'll not let your words put me in an unpeaceful manner anymore. I'm going to untwist them, untangle them, show the truth of them on the paper, and hand it back to you. In peace. Of peace. For peace. With peace. I come in peace. I live in peace. And I shall pass on in peace. And that's notated by the knight. It's the military capacity. And that has no aggression. Because he's led by the bishop. Again, in peace, ministering the good word. Defending the good word. Or, fending the good word. And then, of course, we have the final person, E. Smith. You'll notice there's been a change of the title. Now, this is Wordsy Smith. Because he's abundant in prosperous words. And the whiteness of the spoken words transliterated onto that paper through bylaws and the maxims below. And he is the pawn. He is the shipmate. In commercial capacity with no aggression. Think about this stuff, people. This is your power to contract. Putting forth your word. Which, as long as in truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So long as you know that word, they will know that word. Both those of the world and those in the world. So, and then you'll see the special photographic presentment. This is in regards to the ID, the identity. I want people to comprehend. Oh, and by the way, thank you, brother. Gotta have some breakfast here, so excuse me, folks. But I want you to comprehend this identity that they wish that you present in all these commercial matters. Think about diplomats. Diplomats present a passport, and it shows a distinct, separate photograph. And that's because they still subject themselves to that commercial realm. And it's still a commercial instrument. I assure you, when I get done here, I'll be the one to stand up and do it. Test it. Because I'm the only one with the moxie. It seems like. Although I know other people that have done this. And they present their own photo likeness with certain words, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, on that same element, that same thing, that same noun that exposes the truth, and they will hear it. So as soon as I get that done and I'm able to, I'll hopefully be able to prove it to you people. Maxims. The maxims are my bylaws. The presentment of a body cures the error in the name. Cures. See who you are. Look at this post and see the wording so I can show you how to correct their words. Cures the error in the name. Damn right it cures the error in the name. It shows you that you can see who you are. Correct. Private credentials. Every man is worthy of his hire. This is your fee schedule. This is your axios, your worth, your claim. I spoke of this the other day in regards to the little kid over here on this corner had a Kool-Aid stand selling for 50 cents a glass. And the kid over here selling his Kool-Aid for $1 a glass. Some third-party intervener wants to come in and says, no, you got to sell your glass for 75 cents, and you got to sell your glass for 75 cents so we have a fair market. Don't think so. We need to seek the truth. We need to see why this child, or this individual, this man, thinks he's worthy of $1 a cup. Maybe he's got a different recipe. Maybe he's been doing it longer. Maybe he's got multiple different kinds. This guy is his first stand. Doesn't really quite know what his worth is yet. Does that mean this guy's got to drop his value despite his experience? No. Does that mean this guy's value is worth more even though he doesn't have the experience? No. People need to stay out of your private affairs. And this is how you make them do it. Equity sees that as done what ought be done. And this is talking about that righteous judgment. This is talking about that righteous judgment if you're going to be a citizen of heaven. Because while you remain in this world as any other citizen, you will not be righteously just, because you will not be righteously justified because they won't hear you. They're the ones making these rules, and they will change them anytime they wish. Equity sees that as done what ought be done. Equity will not suffer a wrong to be without remedy. Forgive those who forgive. If they're not going to hear you, then don't speak to them. If they're not going to forgive you, then don't forgive them. Hold it against them. Hold their lies and deceit against them. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Really? Is this a court of law? Let's talk to him about this. What is your law? Is your law articles of incorporation, policies, procedures, rules? Because my law is commandments. And I command myself. While you sit there and try to demand. Let's get this right, people. Equity delights in equality. Judge ye not, lest ye be judged in the same fashion. So if you want to sit there and try to judge me in this personal capacity, I'm going to show you my person. Let me introduce you to several of my persons. Wordsmith, C. Wordsmith, and Wordsy Smith. They are my counsel through him. Do you really wish to proceed forward? Because I move forth, I go forth in prosperity and abundance. That's your freedom of movement right there, going forth. It tells you right there in Genesis, go forth in prosperity and abundance. Not in this world. Go forth in prosperity and abundance. One who seeks equity must do equity. This we're going to talk about the common law. Because common law in regards to equity, they're talking about the 7th Amendment. Any controversy that comes before the court that has a value of $20 or more, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So when you come into these courts and you want to profess that common law and you want to come into equity, you carry that 21 coins on you and you hand them over. Give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. In order to receive equity, you must first bring equity. So here you go. Explain the truth to these people about your equity. My equity remains in the Word. So therefore, when you give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, guess what? Guess what? Clean hands. Equity aids the vigilant. You cannot stop. You cannot take a break. I've been doing this 4 years, solid. I guarantee you I've got over 10,000 hours of research, practice, and experience. I don't need a law degree. I don't need to hand over that commercial instrument to some institutions that's going to have a secret society, skull and crossbones. Keeping me, as they try to tell me, profess to me that they're going to educate me, they're going to help me learn. I don't believe them. So I'm going to seek, so I shall know. Equity aids the vigilant, not those who slumber on their rights. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So study to shew thyself worthy of the word. Sacrifice is the measure of credibility. And like I tell you people, I quit the commercial system. I lost my job. I closed the bank accounts. Got rid of all credit instruments. Ended up having to sell my automobile and my truck. And like I said, I've been doing this for solid 4 years. Over 10,000 hours. Not just in my own case, but walking into courtrooms for other people trying to help them. Be it that they didn't want to listen to me too well. Standing in front of 10, 15 officers with a fellow brother with guns aimed at us. And I'll do this for you. Because I must. It's my duty. It's not my right. I don't have rights. I have a responsibility. I have the ability to respond according to my duty. Equity imputes an intent to fill an obligation. And you people hear me all the time. Excuse me while I take a bite. My word is my bond. My word is abundance and provides me with prosperity. despite the fact that I don't use their commercial system with exception to a doctrine of necessity. And I only do this to share the message, to show the truth, so I can pass it on to you. Because that's what I'd want you to do to me. Do unto others. Love yourself, or love thy neighbor as thyself. Equity acts in personam. Equity acts in personam. This is an important one here, people. Again, in this commercial system, and we use this Latin term, personam. That means in true capacity. And in my true capacity, that intent that I just spoke of, equity acts in personam. I live as he lives. John 14, verse 19. Because I see him. I see he lives, and so I shall live. But I only have that life. I only have his life because I speak the word of truth. I minister the word of truth to my fellow man because I love them and I wish to do no harm. Equity abhors a forfeiture. If I see somebody taking the food out of the mouth of a child, I abhor that. And it has nothing to do with commercial system. Period. This commercial system that pervades, that it's the equitable forum, is lying to you. Give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. You don't need their filthy money. Your children don't need their filthy money. Put a dollar bill in front of your child and see if he'll eat it. Yeah, he'll eat it. Will it do him any good? Will he get any nutrition out of it? Will you teach him the truth about what that dollar has for value and where value comes from? Will you teach him the proper way to use it? Out of a doctrine of necessity. So that we can get beyond living in this world because we are truly, in fact, of this world. Exodus 21, verses 23 through 25. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life. I do this for you. I've been doing this for 4 years, thinking of you. I love you as I love myself. And I don't want to, because I see the truth of its harm. I don't want our children to die in a commercial system and have a tombstone placed on top of a ledger and have some person's name put on it so that they are never heard again. I want them to be able to speak truth so that other people see the truth and speak the truth themselves and therefore live in eternal life. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. Word for word. Word, people. Leviticus 24:17, verse 21. And he that killeth any man shall surely be put to death. And he that killeth a beast shall make it good, beast for beast. My brother Dave explained this to me. This is the part that helps you comprehend, thou shalt not kill. And he that killeth any man shall surely be death. And he that killeth a beast shall make it good, beast for beast. There's a point of righteous killing. If you see somebody stabbing somebody, go forth with a knife to stab them. Go forth and kill them. They are the beast. So you must act like a beast. In his neighbor, as he hath done, so shall it be done to him. Don't lie on your brothers and sisters. Don't call and make false accusations to CPS out of some idiotic concern. Because CPS will come in and destroy those children. And you won't stand up and fend for them because you're confused yourself. My people shall perish for lack of knowledge. So he'll deny you and he'll deny your children. Breach for breach, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he hath caused a blemish in a man, so shall it be done to him again. And he that killeth a beast, he shall restore it, and he that killeth a man, he shall be put to death. It's talking about righteousness, people. It's talking about what's doing right. What are you doing in life? Are you doing right? Or do you believe you have rights? R-I-G-H-T-S. Of your children. R-I-T-E. To carry on, to pass on, instead of die. Deuteronomy 1:17. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Forget about the person. Forget about that paper construct. And listen to your children crying. By listening to him. So you can hear the small and great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. So quit worrying about the judgment of the persons. They have no standing. Take a piece of paper and set it on any edge you want. It will either fall flat on its face or flat on its back, telling you that it's lying. And the cause that it too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. You're listening to his words. And you've got him by your side. This is the foot stand poem. He's there. And when you can't handle it, he's still there. So give it to him. Let go and let God. People hear about this in the 12-step programs. Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. Let go and let God. All you have to do is know his word. Have faith in it. Quit believing your government. Quit believing these agencies. Quit believing your fellow man and know the truth. Colossians 3 verse 25. But he that doth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. And this correlates to these people that don't know the word, these people that are just doing a disservice to people by serving, but at the same time, because they don't have that knowledge, they are blameless. Don't blame them. Educate them. Do so in peace. And hopefully someday they'll hear you. Luke 10:17. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. So when you're able to use your person and write the right words down, even they are subject to them. Even they will hear them. They're not going to hear you. Hear the words of the person. You're not going to be able to stand there and verbally do this unless you know those words. And the only way they're going to hear them is you write them down in the record. As it is written, so shall it be. You don't need to put in all these filings. Wait until they accost you and know the word. Know that he's at your side. And then clarify every word. Make them write it down. Make them put it into their own record. Get that clerk sitting up there on that little machine typing thing. Have them write it. Speak the word, have them write it. This is your power, people. But you have to clarify every word to make sure that is true. Psalm 117, verse 2. For his merciless kindness is great toward us, and the truth of the Lord endureth for every praise ye the Lord. Once you learn how to talk in truth, it gets better and better. Ask me, I know. I've got experience. And it endures. I remember it. I'm able to recall it and speak it again. And therefore it endures. And it becomes eternal. As I pass it on. I don't kill it. I don't let it die. John. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And when you know the truth, you realize you're already free because he's the one that made you. He is truth. And so when you know him, you realize the real lies with your real eyes. Exodus 20, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. You will realize the real lies with your real eyes by learning the truth, and that truth shall set you free. And you can turn around and walk right out. Comprehend this stuff, people. This is telling you how to operate in your life so you don't have to take on the abuse that you put upon yourself. Abuse. Alpha. Beta. Somebody's taking your alpha position and putting themselves in the alpha position and making you beta and using you, abusing you. And you're letting them do it. That's you abusing your own damn self. Numbers 30, verse 2. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. This is why they can't hear you. And this is what's wrong with the process. Because they're not proceeding out of his mouth. They're proceeding in lies of words written down on a piece of paper that has no standing, so that when you let go of it, it lies on its back or it lies on its face. But you have standing if you learn how to speak truth. And it endures the more you do it. Matthew 10:10. Matthew 10:10. Get this one, people. No scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, not yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. Firm, wholesome, safe haven fastenings. This is your security agreement. No script for your journey. By living in his word, you don't need to write it down, like I said. You don't wear two coats. You don't live in the world. You realize you are of the world, and you are already made free. And that nothing else can bund you through a bounding bond, a commercial instrument. My wealth awaits in the treasury of heaven, of which I am a citizen of. I don't have any wealth here on earth, but I live in prosperity and abundance. And I live a good life. I don't have an automobile, but I live a good life and I travel well. Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love my heart, soul, and mind. That's my treasury. That's who I'm a citizen of. That's what I'm a citizen of. And so I hope others will do that. No harm. Matthew 6, verse 13. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us from that evil words. Help us learn how to untwist those evil words, the serpentine twist. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. The power of truth that can be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, and felt at arm's length with the sword called a pen. So think about this stuff, people. This is my writing. This is what I get out of the teaching, the biblical teachings. And this is what I put forth, not just in this writing, but in my life. It's the way I walk. It's the way I talk. It's the way I'm able to convey the truth. It's the way you're able to comprehend that truth. And I hope that's what it's doing. I hope it's helping you comprehend the truth. Because that is my intent. Anyway, I got to get to eating this before it gets cold, people. It's already cold. But Remember, I do this for you. So God bless. Have a good day.